Good evening and welcome to the news at 10. Prime Minister Hani Molki inaugurated a number of public services projects in the towns of Mogar and Jiza at the central Badia region and met with MP representatives, tribal elders to check first-hand on services provided to citizens. Molki opened the UNICEF-funded Al-Basiliya water network that will provide citizens of the area with the needed water supply. Minister of Water and Irrigation Hazem al-Nasser, meanwhile, said a number of other projects by the ministry are underway in the central, northern and southern desert areas, such as water networks, conveyor lines and pumping stations. Molki also paid a visit to the Muaggar-based Saudi industrial foodstuffs factory that caters to the local Jordanian market and others. The 100 million dinar factory employs 700 Jordanians and exports to more than 20 regional and foreign countries. The Spanish Senate will request its government to support Jordan following a meeting between Senate President Faisal al-Fayez, Spanish heads of the Senate and House of Representatives, and members of the Foreign Affairs Committees of the two houses. In a side memorandum to its government, the Spanish Senate is requesting Spanish financial and economic support to Jordan and European Union countries to stand by Jordan financially so it can face economic challenges posed by the Syrian crisis and regional conflicts. El-Faiz briefed the Spanish senators of the economic challenges facing the kingdom and called on the international community to meet their financial commitments and provide direct support to the Jordan Treasury. Minister of Foreign and Expatriate Affairs Ayman Safari stressed the kingdom's support for all efforts aimed at reaching a political solution to end the war in Yemen. During a meeting with the UN Special Envoy to Yemen, Ismail Wald Sheikh Ahmed, in Amman, Safari also reiterated Jordan's support to restore security and stability, to put an end to the suffering of the Yemeni people as per the Gulf Cooperation Council initiative outcomes of the National Dialogue Conference and relevant UN Security Council resolutions, especially 2216. The UN envoy had briefed Safari on the latest developments in Yemen and contacts made with regional and international parties, as well as proposals to activate the political process to put an end to the conflict. State Minister for Media Affairs Mohammed Momeni reiterated Jordan's historical support to the Palestinian cause during a weekly TV program. On the Akhbar wa Hiwar news and dialogue weekly program on Jordan television, Momeni pointed to the talks between His Majesty and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in Amman earlier this week, in which the king stressed the importance of the Palestinian reconciliation deal in enhancing Palestinian unity and serving the Palestinian cause. Momeni said His Majesty's phone call with head of Hamas political bureau Ismail Haniyeh yesterday also came within Jordan's support to Palestinian reconciliation. On the Syrian crisis, he reiterated Jordan's call on the international community to shoulder its responsibilities in their financial pledges, as funds for the Jordan response plan have not exceeded 40% of the needed funds. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson is due to go straight into talks with the United Nations Special Envoy for Syria, Staffan de Mistura, at the U.S. mission in the Swiss city of Geneva. De Mistura will be making his monthly report to the UN Security Council by teleconference later today. He is hoping to convene Syrian peace talks between the government and a yet-to-be united Syrian opposition in Geneva next month. Meanwhile, in Syria, 8 civilians were killed by artillery shelling targeting 2 cities in East Ghouta, the rebels' enclave near Damascus. Iraqi forces launched an offensive to recapture the last remaining patch of Iraqi territory in the hands of Daesh on the border area with Syria. Prime Minister Haider Abadi said Daesh terrorists have to choose between death or surrender, as he announced the offensive on the region of Al-Qa'im and Rawa located at the Syrian border. According to Joint Operations Command, Iraq's Air Force dropped thousands of leaflets on the border area calling on militants to surrender and urging the population to stay away from their positions. Meanwhile, Kurdish security forces known as Peshmerga reported repelling 3 attacks by Iraqi forces 2 in the direction of Fish Khabur and 1 in Perdi on the road linking Kirkuk to the KRJ capital Erbil, destroying several tanks and armored vehicles. A Brussels Fine Artists Museum revealed recently authenticated work by a Flemish master. A previously known panel at the Church of Ter Cameron in Brussels has been identified as a genuine piece by 17th century Flemish artist Jordaens. A painting thought to be by Van Dyck, on the other hand, was found to be another artist. It emerged from a study that the wooden panel on which the piece was painted is made of a tree felled in 1644, 3 years after Van Dyck's death. The artist behind the painting, featuring the mythical crusader Rinaldo, remains unknown. In sports, Frenchman Sébastien Ogier began what could be a historic weekend as he bids to claim a record 5th World Rally Championship title in Wales. Ogier simply needs to finish ahead of his closest 2 rivals to create an unassailable lead over them ahead of the final race of the season in Australia. The Frenchman leads the overall standings with 198 points. The Bloodhound supersonic car, a jet and rocket car on a wheeled chassis, was demonstrated in public for the first time today, performing 2 slow-speed test runs to check systems and instruments. The car, which has 4 wheels, is designed to go supersonic, break the existing land speed record, and reach more than 1,600 kilometers per hour in runs next year. Piloting the car is Andy Green, who is the holder of the current FIA land speed record. The Bloodhound project was set up to foster engineering around the world based on the aim of designing and building a 1,000-mile-per-hour car. The record attempt is being scheduled for sometime in 2018 in Helsinki, South Africa. And finally, a quick look at the weather forecast. It will be cool tonight with a low of 17 degrees Celsius, while tomorrow temperatures are expected to slightly rise with a high of 30 degrees forecast in Amman. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect a warm night and a relatively hot day tomorrow with a high of 34 degrees, northwesterly moderate to brisk winds and slightly choppy seas. And Jordan will switch to wintertime as clocks will be set back by 1 hour as of midnight tonight, bringing the kingdom to 2 hours ahead of the Greenwich Mean Time. Jordan switches to wintertime on the last Friday of every October as per a 2013 cabinet decision. And with that, we come to the end of tonight's news. And Balkar, have a lovely weekend.